Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Royal Blue Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Beesley. As you can see, I've swapped seats now. I'm in the big chair now where Mr. Kroll usually is. I'm going to be Beto to this pair's Idrissa Gueye and Keane. I'll leave the viewers to decide which is which as I get between them. Of course, it's our regular guest, Gavin Buckland. He's joined today by another prolific Everton author,
More
Rob
prolific
Sawyer.
than me.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to keep up with you, Gav.
Yeah, good to have you with us, Rob. How are you?
Great. Yeah, after Monday, I'm in great form. Thank you.
Yeah, as you tell me, you were actually feeling that it was a bit stamina sapping for yourself and the safe standing at Old Trafford as well.
Yeah, maybe like some of these modern players. After 60 minutes, I need taking off. Safe standing. I'm not used to it. So, standing for over 90 minutes for a first time. But I got through it, and so did the team.
Yeah, terrific. Rob's joined us today. He's going to start talking general Everton matters, but also his latest book, The Emerald Evertonian, there, all about Peter Farrell. So we've got that to come. We're going to be discussing the matters of the day before then with him and Gav. And just another shout out, I've had a chance to read it now. One by One, a new Everton fanzine. It's been a while since one of those in print. We saw one of those, but with Everton's move to Hill Dickinson Stadium, it's been such a seismic event. They've had a go with that one. Issue 1 that will be available in and around Hill Dickinson Stadium before tomorrow evening's game against Newcastle United, which obviously we'll be previewing as well. It's a chance for me. Obviously, we've been through all the Manchester United post-match stuff this week, but I think it's the first time that Gav and Rob have obviously had an opportunity to discuss this with me. Gav, I mean, it was a huge moment, I think, not just for Everton, but for David Moyes as well.
Yeah, I would imagine if you look back, I don't know how many managerial games he's had now, 1,200, something like that, possibly 1,300. I think when he looks back on his career, I think he'll look back on this victory for a number of reasons, not just that, a victory of Everton on the night against United. I think he'll look back on it on the victory for a number of reasons as being one of his finest moments. But in terms of results and as a manager, in terms of his managerial performance on the evening, I think, players have obviously got plaudits, but I think Moyes' management from the start of the game, in terms of the tactics, in terms of spending as much time in United's final third of the pitch, which I think dictated how the rest of the game went. Doing that, I thought the key thing was not substituting a player once Gana Gueye got sent off. I think that was, yeah.
Which I was expecting.
Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 the manager does that, don't they? The natural one, I think, would have taken Dewsbury Hall off, actually.
Right, the attacking midfielder,
off, so you've still got your two pivots in front of the back four. But I think he got the benefit there. The key part was the start before the start of the game, before the sending off, where I say we were on the offensive. I think he thought then United are no great shakes can be got at, so therefore I can take a risk by leaving Dewsbury Hall in the team and not bringing another defensive midfielder on. And I think that was as a consequence of the start of the game, and that gamble, I think, bore dividends, didn't really, both within Dewsbury Hall's goal, but how the game panned out. And I think that was a good judgment call by him. And also I think the substitutions in the second half were timed well. He brought the right people on. So in terms of his performance, apart from the players, I thought it was one of his best management performances in Everton. Everton lost, I include his first spell there. And I think he could see that at the end, couldn't you? I think he was quietly very satisfied.
A few quiet fist bumps, weren't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Punches, yeah. No, great tactical awareness, and the players carried it out to perfection as well. I think, to your point, by just sticking with the 10 men he had on the pitch, you had that front three, obviously, who would drop back and support, but it meant that we kept the ball more. So it wasn't just us dropping deeper and deeper early on and sort of conceding possession. We remained a threat, and that paid dividends.
Yeah, because if he'd have started the game like normally, like with all due respect to Moyes, he has habits of doing this, of going to a big club and just, I wouldn't say parking the bus, but playing very cautiously for the first 10 or 15 minutes and then just taking it from there. If we'd have done that, I think, and maybe been under the cosh, I think he would have made the substitution. If he had been under the cosh, maybe getting overrun a little bit, he can't afford to leave Dewsbury Hall on the pitch. Then I think he would have brought Idrissa on, but the way the game had panned out, where we'd had a lot of the ball. I think he thought, well, I'll just keep as is, and that was a result, and he got the reward there of his positive message that he'd given from the team from the off. Because that stat came up, was it? They had 14 touches in their final third, and they'd had 1 or something after 10 minutes, wasn't it? Which you don't expect at Old Trafford, albeit, with all due respect, they're not great, are they?
They were poor. I mean, even when they were pushing for an equaliser, I mean, Fernandes missed one at the near post that normally you'd expect him to score. But apart from that, the saves Pickford was making, apart from maybe from the header, they were from far out, and that just goes to show United weren't flooding our box. We were keeping them at bay. It was poor. It was poor from them. But
and I think the pressure was on them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw about the pressure on us, but actually, if you go down to 10 men, especially if you're away from home, and it's the home team has now got the pressure on them, hasn't it? Really, and I think that showed, especially after we'd started so well. They've got to up their game, then, haven't they? And what was the atmosphere in terms of the United fans, Rob, in the ground? Were they sort of impatient?
Subdued, and a bit of impatience. Yeah, it certainly wasn't the Old Trafford I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
I seem to think that the atmosphere changed after the sending off. It made it quite strange for a while for me, where it had been that frantic opening, and like you say, Everton on the front foot and Tierno Barry waving everyone forward, come on. But I think it was so strange what had unfolded in a matter of seconds. It almost seemed to put United. They were a bit flabbergasted by it.
Well, it does, doesn't it? I mean, we know from the FA Cup finals in 1985, talking about players sent off in Everton Man United games, is one of the things they say, isn't it? Is when a team gets a player sent off, people always think, they stay in the game because the other 10 have to work hard for it. But actually, it's the 11. It affects the 11 players on the opposition even more because A, there's more pressure on them. B, they've got to adjust their style accordingly because the opposition manager will make a change or change in tactics. And I think you saw that in abundance on Monday, especially with a team they've had a few decent results, but they're hardly nowhere near Ferguson's team, or even like the team, say, Moyes had in 2013-14. So I think, as you say, that probably led to a bit of a change in the atmosphere, and we took advantage of that in spades, which we've not often done when it's been in our favour at a big club's ground. But there has been a couple of opportunities where Moyes has not taken that up. I was just thinking there about, remember the derby when Gerrard got sent off very early in the game, and Moyes was like rabbit in the headlights. He didn't know what to do. Yeah. And he didn't do that on Monday, and he got the reward. And let's hope there's a lesson for him here, even after 1,000+ games of management. That big clubs are not what they were in his 2000s when he was going to Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, when they had genuinely, very good teams or even great teams. Going to a top 6 club now, apart from possibly Arsenal, is a completely different experience. Even City, and hopefully there's a lesson learned there for Moyes, and he can take that forward to the next time. Because we've got Chelsea away. We've got
after Forest,
I'd be interested to see what he does at Chelsea. Who a far better team than United.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Well, to be fair, we've got a few comments coming in now. Kevin Kraft said, Idrissa, Gana, Gueye and Michael Keane was a teammate spat, nothing more, nothing less. Outside folk made more of it than Evertonians did. And Nathan Clare says, the amount of times I've had arguments with my mates on a Sunday morning, it happens, shows they care, still think the ref could have handled it with common sense. Now, afterwards, obviously, we're talking now 4 days on from that. We saw yesterday the at Finch Farm on Tierno Barry's Instagram account, like I referred to at the start of the show there, Beto in a light-hearted little video there with Michael Keane and Idrissa Gueye, one boxing glove on each, and they squared up to each other, and then they all, Idrissa Gueye was giggling throughout, and they had a big hug at the end of it. And to me, it didn't look forced. I just wonder what your thoughts were, both of you, both on that and the aftermath of it also. Gav's looking at Rob.
Rob can go first on this one.
When it happened, I didn't really see it because they obviously just blazed a chance wide.
Yeah.
I'm sort of talking to the guy next to me, and then suddenly you hear a commotion and see the ref brandishing a red card. So I didn't see it in real time. It was only then afterwards, like on WhatsApp, people sending you clips. By the letter of the law, he had to be sent off. He raised his hand. I think the rule is daft because you can do a terrible challenge on somebody, but you still tell them and maybe get a yellow. You just give a very light slap to somebody on the face. It's the ref, but that's the rules. And if the ref hadn't given it, would VAR have intervened? Would people be criticising him for not abiding by the rules of the game? So it probably was a soft red, but it was a red. And but the two people you'd have least expected to be in that situation.
What was the reaction of the fans when he found out it was mistaken? Was he getting stick Gana Gueye by, or was it just like, let's just focus on the game? I
mean, I think most of us in the end just didn't know what was going on.
Because
it was at the far end of the pitch. Like half of us hadn't kind of actually seen the incident. The next thing you just see him sort of being dragged away by Jordan Pickford and by and Jai sort of, kicking and screaming into the corner and down the tunnel. So we just didn't know what had gone on really. It's only afterwards we sort of started to see clips being sent. We got an idea. So confusion on the terraces when it happened.
It was confusion on Sky as well, wasn't it? Because they missed it completely, didn't they? They cut away to the corner and they had to cut back, didn't they? There's been an Everton player sent off, and you immediately thought that there's been a fight between an Everton player and a Man United player, but obviously it panned out, and then you couldn't really, because of the camera angles, you couldn't really see what had gone on anyway. Really, the forceful of the slap. It was. I don't know. It was. I'd say Rob's point really that the lesser the law.
But if the referee just says, "Hey, calm down, lads," or whatever,
I think that would have been viable. Yeah, absolutely.
Would nobody
absolutely.
be making a thing of it now? They're saying, "Oh, well, he shouldn't have done it," but it happens.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. The referee was probably like a little bit urgent, wasn't he, in brandishing the right card straight away. Perhaps didn't give himself time. And he talked about players fighting each other. Because we were at your event, weren't we, on Tuesday? You spoke very well, Chris, about your book.
Thank you.
And we were talking about whether any Everton players you've had on field scraps.
Well, there was Richard Goff and Don Hutchinson. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Michael Ball was in the same team that day, and he said he barely remembered the day.
I can't remember many. I think of players being very angry with one another, but I can't remember.
Well, we are getting some more comments in there. The Blues has said the ref jumped the gun and he'd have never sent off a United player if the shirts were swapped. And another one, Ken Lowy says, "Well, I understand Keane and Gueye's funny video, and it was. Don't forget, we now lose Gueye for 3 important games."
And then it's AFCON, isn't it? I think he's got a 1-game window back,
where he could come back in.
That's what he's not going to play there, is he? I think it's at Chelsea. Yeah, I think. It was funny. I was thinking about, you interviewed Michael Keane a few weeks ago, didn't you? Really, and you were saying what a nice guy he is.
Oh yeah, that was the day before the game, which he is. Yeah. Never ever hinted.
Keane certainly would be the last person you would expect. I'm just wondering there though, and probably a little bit off the wall, is said that he's playing with far more confidence this year, isn't he, Keane? Because I think he thinks that the defence is relying on him a lot more, because Tarkowski's form has been, up until Monday, to be fair, he plays well, has been relatively poor, and not to the same standard as what we've seen before. And I'm just wondering whether that came out a little bit in that to do. I'm just wondering whether if it'd been like a couple of years ago, would Keane actually
would he have squared up?
Would he have just stood off a little bit and just said, go away or something like that? Perhaps the fact that he does think that he is playing like the main man, like he did on Monday, and he's obviously more confident in himself and in his ability. I'm just wondering whether that led to his.
I don't know. He is a model pro, but and he's no pushover, though. That's what I'm saying. He's
nobody plays 300 games in the Premier League by being a pushover. I'm underestimating him there, but what I'm saying is he's obviously a lot more confident, isn't he, this year? And I'm just wondering whether that sort of came across in his reaction. And I mean, let's face it, I know Gana Gueye got sent off, but Keane did have a role to play in the whole fracas, didn't he? Really?
Absolutely. Shared responsibility.
And I thought, Gana Gueye was very lucky. I was interested to hear Moyes' comments after the game. He said, like,
he was all for it, wasn't he?
This, of course, was manager. You might remember this when he was at Preston. There was allegation he had to fight with 2 of his players, didn't you remember?
Oh, really?
In a nightclub in Austria, of all places, which he didn't deny, but he said that the to-do was, there was a lot more made out of it than what it was. But so there was, Moyes allegedly has got his own previous in such.
Well, he probably wouldn't have been much older than them back then, either.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was 2001. So he'd only be 40. You might be not even 40.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to remember that he had a bit of a previous himself. And Gana Gueye was lucky. We were having a bit of a laugh, and the boxing match and stuff like that. Wouldn't have been doing that if we got beat 2-0.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, remember, and I think we need to remember that it's still not a great look, is it? I know we can. That, as you say, Rob, 3-game ban.
I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in the dressing room.
Well imagine Seamus Coleman
sat there taking his boots off, and suddenly Idrissa comes down like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. And we were laughing about it because we won. But I tell you what, if we'd got beat, especially after having made such a good start as well, that was my first thought. When it went off, what have we done here? We made a great start here. Now got 10 men for 80 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be like backs to the wall now when it shouldn't be like that. And it wasn't like that at all, was it? Second half, we were under pressure. But as you said, Rob, apart from a couple of long shots and the great save by Pickford, you never really felt that.
It wasn't the Alamo, was it?
No, you never really felt that we were under great threat. And we'd had a couple of chances near the end to break, didn't we? Where we could have made more of it, with Alcaraz and Beto. But can't complain.
Yeah, and for Keane and Dewsbury Hall as well. I mean, I asked Jordan Pickford afterwards. We were in the mix zone by the tunnel at the Stretford end. Yeah, myself and Paddy Boylan from the Athletic, we took the Stretford end there at the end once everyone had gone.
Yeah, very brave, you. Chris. Yeah, very brave.
But we asked him. He said, "Has Kieran got that in his locker?" Well, he says, "Well, on his left foot, because obviously it was a rare right foot finish from him, but an incredible moment for him, and it has been something that you've wanted from him, playing in that number 10 role, the attacking midfield role. Obviously, you got the goal early on against Wolves in his Everton career, and he says, I can't, I want to be much more than a 1 goal a season. Man, he knew he needed to deliver in that respect, but I mean, what a finish.
I mean,
he keeps doing this, and he keeps looking at you, Rob.
I really like him. Terry Smith, who I had a conversation with on Twitter, made the point it was a bit like Njai's goal against Sunderland, the opposite. So coming in this case on the left flank onto his weaker foot like Njai did, and just a brilliant finish. I like the cut of his jib. I really do like him. He's had 1 or 2 games where he's been off the boil, but I just like his attitude. Whether he's best as a 10, an 8, a 6, you can have that debate, but I think of the buys this season, I'm really impressed.
That's the second time Teddy's mentioned on this podcast in 3 weeks. It'd be made up. 2 shots on target this season in the Premier League, both goals.
Okay.
Should
have got one on Anfield, to be fair, but
should be doing more of that, shouldn't he? Really, because I mean, it's all right saying Grealish sometimes doesn't shoot, but he had an opportunity on Monday to take up and didn't. But he's out wide, isn't it? Slightly different vibe, isn't it? But Dewsbury Hall's playing a lot of the times between the posts, isn't he? Because of the nature of his role. And I think if it was being cheerless, I'd say like 2 shots on target for somebody with his ability with both feet is probably under egging the cake a little bit, isn't it, really? And I think he's only had like 10 shots all season, which is like 1 a game. Should be doing more, shouldn't he? Because he's got it in his locker. And if you were Moyes, you'd want to see him. You'd want to see him do that a lot more. And I think hopefully he will do that, because he's a talented player, isn't he? You get the impression he's a bit of an underachiever, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw him at Roma on his debut, and he was taking them on. He looked really exciting, and like you say, you knew he had that in his locker from the start, and you just felt some of the times, as you said, at games he's probably drifted out of and stuff.
Do you have confidence?
I guess so, yeah. And sometimes you just need to go for it, have that shot.
Like you said, though, you cut his jib, Robbie. In terms of, he seems a really good character. I know you need more than that. Like we said with Michael Keane, just being a nice guy is not enough. But the reason he came to Everton this summer, because I mean, he was at Chelsea. I know he wasn't always getting a look in, but he played all the Conference League games and won the FIFA Club World Cup. So he probably could have easily stayed at Chelsea, but he was like, no, I want to go and play every week. So you can see he's got that determination. And I think there was a quote from him the other week, and he was saying how he'd really embraced the passion of the Evertonians, and he said to somebody, just imagine what it'd be like playing for this lot when they're actually winning something. So you can see he's got the right attitude.
He's good on social media as well, isn't he? He was talking about like the types of signings the other week that the club need to do to move on. And you're saying that they need to make the type of signings that Moyes made in the 2000s. Players 23, 24 who can get better. And Dewsbury Hall is a Moyes 2000s signing, isn't he? Really, he's got a couple of years under the. A couple of years under him in the Premier League, a bit more than that probably, but he probably still have potential to get a little bit better. And
His
and
attitude
he's
as well.
he's got attitude.
That
You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
He's a player that Moyes would have bought in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And I like him a lot. It should be just. I get the 8 bit. You know, I don't think he's a 10. I get the 8, but I don't. I said to you before, Chris, I don't see him as that like sort of shield.
No.
In front of the defence, I don't think he's strong enough in the tackle. And I think he'd be wasting his attacking abilities. I think where he's playing at the moment is probably about right for him.
Okay, well, saying that, obviously, as we said, the viewers are saying, can he appeal that the red card? I don't think that's being appealed, is it? And like you say, letter of the law, I don't think you're going to get that one overturned somewhere.
Well, why would you appeal it?
Yeah.
I would Keane have to say, "Oh, the slap wasn't that much," you know? So like, you know, because the way, what's the law? What's the word in the law has to be a substantial punch or something, you know.
Roy Nixon's going back here. He says 3 game ban for that. It wasn't exactly Norman Hunter against Francis Lee.
Well, that was a great one, that, wasn't it? That is,
You're getting Gav nostalgic now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
That was
old
50
days.
celebrating. It was 50 years this
Really?
month, wasn't it?
There you
Norman
go.
Hunter, Franny Lee.
Must be something in the air this time of year. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, do you want a really obscure stat?
Go on.
Because the point was made on, I think it was Al Breton, who's obviously kind of about Keane and Gana being on previous goal scorers, hadn't he? In the game against Fulham.
Yeah.
Had that ever happened before? And where 2 players have scored and been involved in a fight in the next game.
Who's looking that one up, Gav?
So I did actually. Because I remember this, the first time this ever happened, there was a big publicity about players fighting, was Derek Hales and Mike Flanagan used to play for Charlton Strikers in the late 1979. And they both get sent off for fighting each other in January 1979. And their previous game, Charlton, they'd won 3-0 at Oldham, and Flanagan had scored 2, and Derek Hales had scored the other.
What sort of spreadsheet do you have?
Yeah. No, it's just funny. You think it's weird, but actually these things do happen. But Norman Hunt and Flanagan is the ultimate. You're never going to beat that. I think if they'd stayed on, Franny would have killed him. By the way, I know Norman had the reputation, but Franny was hard.
So I was just looking. I've done a piece on the back of this today, and obviously you're talking about with my event for Spirit of the Blues this week, but I found the game here that I might have overlooked in some ways on the back of all this. And it was because it's from 1915, and Everton were playing Barnsley in the FA Cup. Do you know this one, Gav? And basically, 2 of the players got sent off. Everton's George Harrison for retaliating to Frank Barson, who was a notorious hard man, apparently. Once served a 7-month ban. And basically, Barson had to be smuggled out of Goodison Park after the game because there was a baying mob waiting to get him afterwards. And Everton finished the game with 7 men because Fleetwood got... it was another sending off in the second half as well.
3 sendings off, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bobby Parker, who scored, got sent off. And then Everton lost 2 more players to injury, including one who fainted. So Everton finished with 7 men, won the game.
Yeah.
But Barson ended up getting.
I can't recall ever seeing 2 Everton players fighting, to that degree.
Yeah,
but very lucky, Gana guy. Yeah. I think probably in the great scheme of things, I think it's good that he misses 3 games, then goes to AFCON straight after. You know.
Yeah. So what I was going to go on to when you were saying about Dewsbury Hall going deep, obviously Idrissa Gueye has got that 3-match suspension now. We start, so it'll handily allow us to move on to previewing Newcastle now. He's not going to be there. I mean, do you put Dewsbury Hall in deeper, or do you go with Tim Robin? What do you do? We're going to go. Let's not break a habit. Let's go with Rob first again.
I'll be surprised if Tim Irabun doesn't play.
Tomorrow.
I think he'll just sort of bolster the midfield with Tim, maybe, and keeping Dewsbury Hall slightly more advanced. I think that's the obvious pick. Obviously, Roll, unfortunately, isn't available.
Yeah, done his hernia,
that could have been his window of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this. I mean, because I think it's everybody's identified. I thought Tim played well when he came on Monday. Has he got 90 minutes in him? This is the thing people are saying, aren't they, Rob?
Yeah, he hasn't really done it yet.
As you say, previously when he has played, Rails come on, hasn't he? But I'm not sure what the other options are, other than to drop Dewsbury Hall back.
Which he did, to be fair, after the 10 men. Obviously, he did play deeper, didn't he? But
there's a little bit of a shortage there, isn't there, with Rail being injured and Gana Gueye, going off the AFCON. But we would assume he would be available for these 3 games. I'm just wondering whether they thought by the time Gana Gueye goes to the AFCON, that actually Real will be back in and around the team. Planned it that way, but obviously the red card has put the mockers on that strategy, hasn't it?
So I was going to say, we talked a lot about Jews. Well, I thought Gana probably, as in Jimmy Gana, also deserves a mention for Monday night.
I mean, all season, hasn't he?
Fair, but the shift he put in as well on Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Tuchel was talking to him afterwards, isn't it? There's a clip in the dressing room. I thought who had his best game for Everton on Monday? Jack Grealish. I thought he worked.
Well, he was very different. Was it intelligent? Wasn't he?
Yeah. Showed you all that intelligence and experience and know-how that players who played for Man City for those years have got, and he did that in abundance, didn't he? I also thought a bit of a conspiracy theory on Monday. I think I was saying to Ian after Ian Crowell on Tuesday is there was about three set pieces in the second half where we caused a foul, didn't we?
Yes.
And I'm wondering whether we deliberately caused a foul to waste time and also so we could then get back into shape rather than let the set piece go on and we get caught on the break and lost our shape a little bit. And it was no coincidence. I think there was a couple of free kicks that Grealish had won, and I think a corner where I think all the ref blew up straight away. And I was thinking, I was probably completely wrong. This is that we've done that deliberately to waste time and then get back into shape. But I thought Grealish superb on Monday.
Because he wins a lot of free kicks generally anyway, doesn't he? But breaking the play and alleviating that pressure in key moments.
He got back. He's great at holding the ball as well, which you need in that situation.
Yeah, but Gana was excellent. Well, everybody was,
Mikalenko keeping on Bueno.
Quiet. Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And what about Tierno Barry? Of course, the elusive wait for the first goal continues. But I mean, what was the big stat around him? 14 aerial duels won. So he's played 14 games, hasn't scored, but 14 aerial duels won. Do we take some encouragement from that?
I think he's another one who worked.
Tremendous hard. After 60 minutes, you could see how tired he was. But link, especially in the first half, the link play. Obviously, the aerial duels one, but also just little bits of link play on the deck. Yeah, he's getting up to speed. Just need that goal, don't we? For him?
Yeah, I think it was good after improved performance against Fulham. Though I think he got a little bit too much audits for that. It was good that he followed that up with another decent performance. As a striker, though, it must be infuriating when you win 14 aerial duels, but how many of the knockdowns went to Everton players? I mean, and that's just generally about that stat. Aerial duels won. But they're only meaningful duels won if the header goes to one of your players. Actually, if it goes to the opposition, that you can be, again, you could find yourself out of shape and prone to getting counter attack. So those type of stats, and sometimes defenders will let you win a header. But I thought he played really well. I thought his passing, I thought he passed the ball really well in the first half. His passing was very crisp, wasn't it, and accurate, and I think that's why the likes of Dewsbury Hall plays really well, because Barry was fizzing the ball back to him and stuff like that, and I thought he plays well.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a lot of love for Jordan Pickford from the comments here. James Graham said, without Pickford's outstanding performance, we'd have struggled, and the Blues says, agree, James, if we'd have swapped both goalkeepers, we'd have lost for sure. And Nathan Clare says, agree, yet again, the media have overlooked Pickford's saves. Remember Ramsdale getting pieces written based by one save he made for Arsenal against Leicester, and then Kevin Kraft said, Pickford had the blind and made some worldy saves.
I think there was one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the long range ones were great saves, but you would expect him to make them every day. That one where he reached for the header and just sort of palmed it round, that was a great save. But you kind of come to expect it. I mean, he played his part, as did everybody on the pitch. Everybody had a good.
What were your ratings? I'd be disappointed if anybody got less than. 8.
Well, I tell you what, it's the first time ever. You looking for that obscure who's been sent off after scoring. It's the first time I've ever done a 1 and a 10 in the same game. I gave Keith and Dewsbury Hall. KDH got top of the shop and one for Idrissa Gueye. I'm sure you don't have to work that one out.
I
thought
Pickford did what you would expect him to. He had that "thou shall not pass" attitude. I think. Has he lost a bit of weight, Pickford? He looks to me as if he's slimmed down a little bit. Maybe sometimes your shirt can make you look that. I was looking at him. I don't know whether he's just lost a little bit of weight. He looked really fit.
That's a question for the next press conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't take it from me. Jordan, you've lost weight, haven't you? No, I just thought if you have a look at him, he looks really physically really fit, and maybe that's made him a little bit more mobile. I think, to be fair, the one thing I would say about him in the last 3 or 4 games, I don't think his distribution has been as good as normal.
Yeah, a few bad kicks. I mean, he made a couple of really good passes against Fulham.
Yeah.
But it is a mixed bag.
Yeah, Michael Ball often picks up on that in his column. He thinks he should be better with his distribution. Going on to Newcastle United, though, like we said, the team who we're told Evertonians love to hate, or not, as the case may be.
We've had this before.
I know.
This is like the game. Yeah. This is like, with I say this. There's always a great atmosphere, isn't there, against Liverpool, like Liverpool against Newcastle, isn't there? Really, especially at Goodison. Helped by the fact that actually we never play them in daylight, do we? Always play them for night.
It's always after dark, which it will obviously be
tomorrow. I think I can't. We were checking. I think it's like 13, 14 years since we last. I think it was the last game of the season in 2012 was the last time we played them
at home.
Yeah.
I was going to say, obviously, the last game of the season last year was away, wasn't it?
That was my dad's last match he saw before he died. And so the last goal he scored against Newcastle in 2012.
Yeah.
Last goal he saw scored was Tony Hibbert, an own goal.
All right, okay.
Oh,
yeah, that's the way to go out. Yeah, absolutely.
Did Cahill score in the other end? Did he?
No. Johnny Isaac scored, and Jelavic got 2-1, was it? Yeah.
Okay. Cahill got sent off after the
Cahill got sent off, yeah.
Right. That was his last game for Everton.
So his last game was the Tony Hibbert's own goal, and it's Cahill getting sent off.
Getting sent off.
But, I think it'll be different. Great atmosphere tomorrow. I think after the results on Monday, everybody will be up for it, as they say. I think they're coming back off the back of a great win against Manchester City, aren't they? They've not travelled.
Although they subsequently lost in the Champions League at Marseille.
Yeah.
So.
Then they have had a tough week. Because I was going to say whether Monday took a hell of a lot out of the players, didn't it, really? And whether that would affect them on Saturday. But as you say, Chris, Newcastle played after that. So, I think it'll be a tough game, and we've just got to keep the momentum going, really.
Absolutely.
On Saturday. And it's well within our gift, isn't it, really? Because we've 3 consecutive wins, isn't it? Last time that happened was the last 3 games of last season, when the first win was against Fulham and the last win was against Newcastle. So let's hope. Let's hope that's repeated.
He knew we had the guest coming. He wants to impress with you there, Rob. I mean, Rob, how do you see it going? Because, like we say, Newcastle haven't won away from home in the Premier League this season.
Have they not? Wow, I didn't realise that start. I mean, I think, considering that they're juggling European football, considering the whole thing about Isak over the summer. Yeah. I mean, that's disrupting, but actually they seem to have bizarrely come out of that better than the team that bought Isak, but that's another story. It'll be a tough game. I feel confident. I think a 2-1 win, if I'm going to name a score. Jumping
with predictions here. Fair enough. He's going bold, going early.
But we don't know. We talked about, obviously, Gana not playing. Who knows who might not play tomorrow. There might be injuries we don't know about till the press conference. Because, as you say, that game on Monday night will have taken its toll on 1 or 2 players.
Emotionally as well as physically, I think.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, what we'll do, all right, then, we'll before moving on and we'll talk about Rob's book, then we'll finish this off now. Rob's just given his prediction, Gav. So, what are you going for?
I'll go the same.
Okay.
2-1. Moyes only ever won successive games against Newcastle once before, so let's make it 2 on Saturday. And, I mean... You see, in the Premier League, if you can get back-to-back wins or a couple of wins, you can choose right up the table, because we were looking at, before the Fulham game, we'd had the bad results at that performance at Sunderland, got beat at home to Spurs, and you're looking
down, aren't you? Yeah.
I mean, and the other reason why Monday was so vital is 3 teams below us won over the weekend, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah. So... But if you can,
those ones below are now getting cut adrift a little bit. As much as it's so busy in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, we're 7 points above the drop zone, aren't we? Something like that. But if you can get a couple of wins, you can shoot. I mean, I was looking at Villa. A month ago, Villa saying a really poor season.
Yeah, to their start of the season.
And they're now 4th. United could have come 4th on Monday if they either won. I think that says more about the standard of the Premier League than United, staying in the top 4 or 5. But I think a 2-1 win, but I think it'll be a great atmosphere. I always say this, don't I? I like the the stick that Pickford gets off Newcastle fans is proper old school. I like all that. Like, it's, like the dinosaur stuff. You got to have a bit of humour.
Gav's all for it.
You've got to have a bit of humour, haven't you? You can't just let it.
Pantomime villain stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's all good fun. And he not made saved the penalty last year, didn't he?
He did against Anthony Gordon, didn't he?
Yeah. So 2-1 for the Mighty Blues on Saturday.
Okay, I'll go for a hat trick of wins over a hat trick then, but I'll say 1-0 Everton then. Okay, that's what I'll go.
Tierney Barry to score, Chris.
Well, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he's got to come. It's coming, hopefully, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's that? It'd be game number 50. I know he's a lot of those are substitutes and bit part appearances, but it'd be game number 15.
It's interesting on Monday, I believe that was his longest time he's been on the pitch.
Okay.
As an Everton player.
Yeah, he's really made it past that mark.
Which is interesting.
Well, they mixed it up because officially he didn't get substituted for Beto. It was a double substitution, but I don't know if Moyes just wanted to mix it up, and I can't remember what it was. But Beto didn't actually officially come on for him, but obviously he did. So being the double substitution, it wasn't it wasn't 9 for 11 on the board. So
was the mess was it Grealish the other week, but then he's supposed to come off and then didn't. He messed up, was it?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Barry, wasn't it?
Barry was it? Yeah,
I think it got called. It got called in it. Rossi called it, and it didn't happen.
That was it.
So before substitutions here, the Emerald Evertonian Peter Farrell. You've got obviously Seamus Coleman doing the forward there, Rob. I mean, there's more than the obvious sort of similarities between them. Obviously, the Sligo connection, although obviously Peter Farrell was later on, and obviously being the captain of Everton. But I thought also captaining Everton in sometimes difficult times as well, but sort of being a shining light to those around. And what was it with Peter Farrell that you've decided he was going to be next on your list?
I think the Coleman was a factor, clearly, because there were those obvious similarities, Irish and Everton captains, both of them often in tough times, like you say. Yeah. But also just, I think the 50s, the era in which Peter mainly played, is the kind of a slightly overlooked decade. Mm-hmm. No wonder when you think it was the longest spell that Everton had in the second division. Yeah. And quite a frugal time for the club. But it was just interesting to dive into a character. And the thing that got me on the trail was Peter did a serialisation about his life story in the Echo.
Okay.
In 1954, so that's something you can still retrieve. And just reading through that,
he did it in 54 as well.
Just when we got promoted back, he did that sort of life story series, and sort of that was a great starting point. And it just went for now. It's going to be an article, and it just grew legs. It's obviously it's about Peter, but it's about his great mate Tommy Eglinton, and just about football in that era. This was still the era where players would get the tram or get the bus or get a lift to the ground. Yeah. So it's just it's a social history as well as talking about this sort of great Everton captain as well.
Yeah. So how many games did he play for Everton in the end?
About 435. Yeah. So he's in the top 10 appearance makers.
Captain
for all, but probably 3 of them he was captain. Yeah. So he came in 1946, just after the war, when obviously Everton were sort of decimated after 7 years without proper football. So him and Tommy came over, sort of relatively unknown, from Shamrock Rovers. Tommy, the left winger. Peter was he'd be a midfielder in today's money. And they were sort of constants throughout the decade, made a huge impact and led to more Irish players joining. And we became known as the sort of Irish, and this sort of misnomer that Everton are the Catholic team was probably born in the 50s, because we just had so many Irish players with Don Donovan and the like as well.
Yeah. I mean, something I mentioned in my book, like you said, I would say it's a misnomer, but obviously because of players like Peter Farrell, as you said, we're talking about Everton recruitment. I mean, what a scoop that was, getting those two together in a double deal as well. I mean, hats off for whoever spotted those two.
Well, it was an accident. I think they went to watch somebody else, as is often the case, and just they caught the eye in this match. They were playing in Belfast, and the rest is history. Got them for a song. And, what fantastic buys. It's just a shame for Peter, just as it has been for Seamus, really, that they've not really got close or not close enough to silverware or had the success that they have deserved, because both great captains, great leaders, great club men.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to, I like writing about people who deserve more attention, more credit, and Peter's certainly one.
And you mentioned in the book that Dave Hickson, who's probably arguably, I guess, the poster boy for the 50s for Everton.
Just like in the 90s, Duncan Ferguson, I suppose, was our sort of talisman in tough times. Then Dave Hickson. To a degree, Dave was certainly that man in the 50s.
And he was saying, though, he felt that Peter almost took it personally, that responsibility. Obviously, he was captain when they went down, and then those 3 years in the second division, getting them back up there, it weighed heavy on him, and he could see that coming into the club, that the way that Peter took that responsibility.
Absolutely. I think he said it was one of the happiest days of his life when we went to Boundary Park on the last day of the season in '54 and won 4-0. And got promotion. Sort of supporters climbing over the walls to get in. They'd put tar on the walls of the stadium to try and stop people climbing in. So people got newspapers. Sort of plaster them onto the walls so they could then climb over. It was unbelievable atmosphere.
He made Stad's still going. He went.
Wow.
Yeah, to Oldham. And he said exactly that. I said it was chaos, because that many Everton fans there. I mean, I know you said, Rob, it's worth adding, isn't it? Really, we say about being in the doldrums, but you were still getting massive crowds, weren't we?
This was the post-war boom.
I mean, I think in the 70s, in the second division, we still got a few gates over 70,000.
Was it for the Man United FA Cup game as well?
I think it was a game against Lincoln right near the end where they were going for promotion. I think they were 71,000 or something like that. Which is just mad. So it was just we were still, although we were in the second division, we were still like a massive club, and that was represented in the fan, the fan base and the attendances we had. So, even if you study like footy over the years, that was the time that we were still like the main club on Merseyside.
Absolutely.
We were like
Liverpool had won the FA Cup.
So even in the second division, we were still the main club. It wasn't as if we'd just been forgotten about when we went into the second division, or we weren't winning trophies. No, Liverpool in the second division as well after us. But you can't. All because we didn't win anything doesn't necessarily mean we weren't popular, or we weren't big. It was. And there's a lot of clubs like that, and I really look forward to reading Rob's book. Hopefully will be as good as the other ones. And it's a reminder, isn't it, that there are players who were at the club before, like Ball Harvey Kendall or 1966, all this time. There are players who are hugely significant figures.
Absolutely,
in Everton history,
maybe get overlooked by the general public, even by the club. Peter's not an Everton giant in terms of he's never had that award.
No.
And he's one of a few players I think really, really do deserve it. You just have to look at his appearances, the way he led the club. He's somebody who should be in that bracket.
Yeah. And although he's obviously, because of the position he played, he wasn't a prolific goal scorer, Rob. He obviously played that hugely significant moment where playing on his home ground of Goodison Park as an away player for Ireland, the first time that England had lost at home officially to foreign opposition. Everyone talks about Hungary winning at Wembley, but it was Ireland at Goodison Park.
1949. Yeah, he says his probably greatest footballing moment was at Goodison, but in a green shirt.
Yeah.
And it's great just researching the story of that game. How they didn't have, when they were training the day before, they only had 7 players, the Irish team, because the lads were still with their clubs.
Wow.
They were in Southport and then came down, and Johnny Carey, who was the captain, but also effectively like the captain come coach, he devised this wonderful game plan, how to shut off Tom Finney. And a 2-0 win, and Peter scores at the Gladys Street end to make it 2-0. It's, so often gets overlooked. It's not the Hungary game, it's Ireland who did made history at Goodison Park in '49.
I wonder how much support the Irish had at Goodison that day.
I think it was huge. I think obviously the Irish fans had come over in big number, but also I think a lot of Evertonians were cheering on the hero.
I presume that was the reason why they stayed at Goodison.
Yeah, possibly, I think it was proximity to the size of the stadium, absolutely. And of course, Peter Core was another Everton player in the team. Tommy Edlington didn't play, but Peter Core did.
Okay.
And of course, there's a link there. Peter Core is the uncle of the band of the same name.
Wow. Yeah. So, and there's also, I don't know if we can give this away or not. There's a great story about his grandfather at the start book. I don't know if everyone to keep your powder dry on that one.
But Pete, I can say that Peter's grandfather came over from Ireland to work in Liverpool as a police constable.
Yeah.
So Peter's dad grew up in Liverpool before sort of they went back to Ireland.
Which you don't often hear, do you? Going to and fro from. Yeah.
And there is a connection which I go in the book. There's a very popular Liverpool pub that's connected to Frankie Goes to Hollywood, but also has a connection to the Farrell family. So you'll see that in the book.
Obviously, Peter's 70 years ago playing for Everton, whatever. Is all that stuff? How do you research that, Rob? Is there still people around?
There's a few people. Obviously diminishing sadly the passage of time, but there's still a few people in their 80s and 90s who I managed to speak to who saw him play for Everton, and also obviously he went to Tranmere after Everton, and then I was put in touch with his family. He had 4 daughters, and they've been, the family been brilliant. So I've been over to Dublin. They've had a wonderful archive of cuttings, scrapbooks, his Ireland shirts, caps. Fantastic. So, and then just diving through the newspaper archives as well. So I've tried to, where possible, get first-hand accounts, but as it gets harder as time passes.
Yeah, it's just weird because these people do have, especially players in those days who come over from, like the backstory is great, isn't it? I mean, I'm not sure that happens now with players because society's changed so much. If you were doing players now.
Yeah, wouldn't be the same.
There'd be people who come from abroad who've had difficult times, obviously, and stuff. But because society's changed so much, a lot of these people have got like really rich.
Yeah, and Pete's obviously growing up in Dalkey, sort of south of Dublin, and like many soccer players, Irish soccer players, he grew up where it was frowned upon because Gaelic, at school and stuff, it was Gaelic football that you were expected to play.
Because they were playing the imperialist game, as it were, playing football.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And was it around that time there was still like the grey area about playing for Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland?
So he played, Peter and Tommy Edlington and others, Johnny Carey played for both the what you would now call sort of Northern and Southern Irish teams, and that went on until about 1950 when it became you can't have two countries trying to qualify for the World Cup, picking the same player, picking the same players. So so he was capped by what we would now call Northern Ireland as well as the Republic.
It's just mad, isn't it, when you think about it?
There you go. Yeah. So thank you for coming in, Rob. And it's out now, the Emerald Evertonian, the life and times of Peter Farrell. So thanks for joining us, Rob, and thanks for joining us, Gav. This has been the Royal Blue Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Beesley, and we'll be back next Monday to review all that went on in Everton against Newcastle United. David Moyes coming up, as usual, 1:30 slot this afternoon. Joe Thomas will be over there at Finch Farm, and we'll see you all soon.